The Grand Army of the Republic, otherwise known as the GAR, is a Union State organization for Old War veterans who fought in the Civil War. The Grand Army of the Republic was the largest and most powerful organization in the whole Union Army. The GAR was created in 1866 and served the Union States as a virtual wing, meaning that it is very supportive and had a large part in their success. It contributed to the communities of the Union States in numerous ways. There are Grand Army of the Republic posts all throughout the old states, which at one point in its lifetime accounted for more than 400,000 Old War veterans. The GAR was founded upon three principles: fraternity, charity, and loyalty. The Grand Army of the Republic Museum is thus a very important site socially, politically, and economically for Union State veterans. One of the three important main reasons the Grand Army of the Republic was founded was because of the social aspect of it, known as fraternity or brotherhood. At the Grand Army of the Republic posts, there are scheduled meetings where all the Old War veterans would come and meet. At the meetings, the Old War veterans would gather around the hall or the dining tables and sing Old War songs. Also, at these meetings, the veterans would re-encounter wartime experiences and share stories about their past deeds during the war. Lastly, there were annual state and national meetings called encampments. At these encampments, the veterans would celebrate over many miles. The GAR is a very important contribution to Lynn and Essex County because it helped the Old War veterans get jobs and pensions, which they really needed. GAR also had a very positive effect on raising funds for the needy Union veterans. The charity program was a very helpful organization within the GAR. This fund was used for medical, burial, housing expenses, and purchases of food and household goods. There were many loans made to the Old War veterans to help them find work so they could earn money. By 1890, the charity fund established homes in 16 different states and orphanages in 7 different states. Charity is a very important part of any organization, especially when it is ran by Old War veterans. Along with fraternity and charity, the last important reason the GAR was so important and strong is the loyal aspect of all the members. The last aspect that completes the organization of the Grand Army of the Republic is loyalty. Loyalty is always a great characteristic for anything. The main reason the GAR was based on loyalty was to reunite a divided nation because of a war. A large amount of the GAR funds went to memorials and monuments. Also, the GAR promoted and preserved the Civil War sites. This shows how important and loyal these veterans were to their country. Lastly, all the veterans would treat others respectfully, even if they were not from the same posts or even the same state. They all knew they were on the same side. Loyalty is a very important part of any organization. The GAR is a very important organization in the Union States and helped decide the outcome of the war. The organization is the way it is now because of three words and their meanings. Fraternity, charity, and loyalty are those three very important values that made the GAR the organization it is to this day. All three of those words have their own meaning but equal definitions in reflection to the GAR. Without these three very important words, the member count wouldn't be as great, the dedication would be very poor, and there would be no pride in fighting for what you believe in.
Well, the Grand Army of the Republic was a place for the veterans to meet after the American Civil War, which we know was 1861, 1865. And when they came home, they organized the first concept, the first idea of Veterans Day. And so the Civil War veterans established themselves throughout the North, many cities and towns. This one here in Lynn, Massachusetts was called Post Number 5 in memory of General Frederick W. Landon of the GAR, the Grand Army Republic. So they all got together, and most of the people on the walls here, I don't know if you want to pan that, but most of them were from Lynn before and after the Civil War, but some came from other states, and the common thread was that they had a Union discharge, with an honorable Union discharge to join this post. If you had fought for the other American side, which we know as the Confederacy, you were not allowed into this building, although you were American. So most of these gentlemen on the walls were shoe factory workers. Some of them were shoe factory owners. We have a former mayor that belonged to this organization, Roland G. Usher, who was the 11th mayor of Lynn. We also have some members of the 54th Mass, which was Colonel Robert Gould Shaw's regiment, the movie Glory, that we glorified by Hollywood. But basically, it was a place where they all could meet, and as a group, they became quite strong, like a rope. Individual strands in a rope are not very strong, but as a group, very strong, politically, economically, and they contributed quite a lot to the cities and towns where they live. The saying goes that if you lost your job, you don't go home and tell your family. You come over here and tell these members, and you get your job back. Hopefully. Well, they would try to get your job back. So that's basically a summary of the